Okay, so today is the 26th day of Shvat, the 24th of February, and we need to do a short supplement on what we learned. So we said that this whole thing of Kiddush Chodesh, we kept saying that this is the uplifting of the elevation of the feminine up to its own source, and it obviously has those underpinnings that the feminine becomes independent. But we said that this is really about every person. It's not whether you're a male or female. It has nothing to do with that. Really, it's about that the essence of Judaism, and we learned this because the sages say that Yisrael monin levona, that our accounting of time goes by the moon. And what did that come to teach us? That even though time seems to be cyclical, it seems to repeat again and again and again, and you get into this monotony, and you feel this despair that nothing changes, everything stays the same. So that's why every month there's a rebirth. So this goes back to creation. And the big question that's asked, which is, why did God create the world in such a way that it wouldn't be sustainable the way He created it? There's a lot of hints at that. And so the first one is, the sages say that God wanted to create the world with the measure of judgment. He saw that it couldn't be sustained, so He added the measure of compassion, of rachamim. The other one is, it's even harsher, is that the Medrash says that when God created the world, it would fall apart, it would destroy. It's called Borei Olamot Umachrivan. It's a verse in Isaiah, I think. Hashem kept rebuilding the world and it would fall apart, rebuilding it and fall apart, rebuilding it and fall apart. So the Medrash says, so why did He build them in this way? Why didn't He hold it together? Like, if it's falling apart, hold it together. So he says that the reason is because the ones that fell apart, He let them fall apart because they didn't find favor in His eyes. So He let them, He destroyed them. So it's a type of din, yeah. So what awakens compassion, if you put it that way? So why finally do we have this world that somehow is holding together? It's sustaining itself, yes, somehow, or Hashem sustaining it.
Yes.
So what's the big difference? So here we have, this is the key of all of life. And this was the message, this was the lesson that Hashem wanted us to learn from this. That everything falls apart, don't despair. You can always be reborn. That's the key to life. Everything comes to an end.
From the other,
right. All the worlds, all the worlds like that. All the worlds that didn't make it, it's because they gave up.
Because they gave up.
The world itself gave up. This world, the world that we're in, it learned the lesson.
In the holistic
our reality has ingrained in it the lesson that even after stuff falls apart, you rebuild. It can be rebuilt. Sustainable is not what people think, that it's constantly the same. That's not sustainable. That is not sustainable. For something to be constant forever, we have this verse, Lo olam chosen. You can't be resilient forever. There's always, even more than this, Sheva yipol tzadik v'kam. Even if you're a tzaddik, then ingrained into you is the falls. You have to fall 7 times, but the key is v'kam, that he rebuilds himself, that he picks himself up again. So this is the lesson from the moon. This is what it really means. That at the end of the month, and the moon was all powerful, at the middle of the month, and then it started falling and disappearing slowly as the month waned on, until you reach the 20th day. And 20th day, it's like it's dead completely. It's gone. It's completely gone. It's finished. And so you would think that there's no hope. And then suddenly it's reborn. And that moment of rebirth is actually the moment in which you're closest to God. That's what it means. When you feel that everything is waning, you feel that everything is falling apart, it's because it's a law of nature. Nothing can we call it entropy today. But it means that everything in the end falls apart. In Hebrew, it's called Sof Adam Lamut. The end of man is to perish. Or we say sometimes, Kol Hoveh Nifsad. everything that exists also perishes. But it doesn't mean that that's the end. That's the main thing. So in life, you get this many times. You thought everything was going smooth sailing, everything looks fine, and then suddenly there's this fall. And then what do? You have to pick yourself up. It's like the moon. That's what we're getting from the moon. It's the same thing about the Jewish people. That the whole history, our history has been that ups and downs, constantly ups and downs. And then there's this huge down for 2,000 years, and you think that it's finished. Nothing will ever come out of this. And then the whole thing is that we count by the moon. That we believe that we will be renewed like the moon itself. But to do that, the main lesson here is that you have to be in bittul, you have to be in nullification, but you are already because you're you've perished so far. But bittul before Hashem. Don't be in bittul. Don't be nullified because of your situation. Don't look at the situation as what's nullifying you. That's not what's nullifying you. What's nullifying you is your connection to Hashem, is your nearness now to Hashem. Now that when the moon is being reborn, it's the closest to Hashem that it ever is. And that's the main lesson that we take from the. Right. Okay. So you reach a state of darkness, and then you know that before light, there's darkness.
You know, I heard a story years ago, and it finally clicked. A man in the concentration camps risked his life every month to do Kiddush Levana.
Uh-huh.
And I would say to myself, that's like wonderful, but
why?
In other words,
that's what kept him going.
Yes.
Right. The Zohar is full of this image all the time.
The Zohar?
The Zohar. Yeah. The Zohar is very big on the rebirth of the moon. So it keeps repeating this in different contexts. And it's always don't give up, because you can be reborn. And so we're now reaching Adar is the month in which we begin this process for the month of the Aviv, the month of the spring, which is Nisan. So we're very, very close now. We already did Kiddush HaChodesh for a month of Adar, and then after that it's immediately Nisan. But that's a feeling that even so now we're at the zenith of the decline of nature. Everything's frozen, everything's cold, and it's now that you have to strengthen yourself. But again, strengthening yourself is becoming that I only receive directly from Hashem. There's nothing else here. There's no earth that I'm receiving light
Hashem
from.
gives the earth a layer of snow, preserve it.
Permafrost.
To insulate it.
Permafrost.
Yes.
Okay.